We're back!
Meow.
Hello, everyone!
Hello.
Wow, 2 days in a row!
Oh my god, like what has gotten into me? Tequila, that's what.
That's amazing.
What is?
That we're doing 2 days in a row. We're basically finishing out the arc today.
I see a finish line in sight. I'm suddenly motivated.
Yay!
Like if you tell me that my suffering will soon come to an end, not that this is suffering, but oh my god. This arc dragged like my knuckles through the mud after like a brain drain day. Like
Fair. I take it you didn't quite like the Slaughterhouse 9.
he got away again? For fuck's sake. For fuck's sake. Does no one have, like, what are they called? They're not called quirks. I've been reading a lot of MHA. Does no one have a fucking rope tying quirk or some shit? Like, okay, I guess Jack has knives, but seriously, can no one have the ability to, like, manipulate metal and wrap the knives around him? I mean, you know, at the very least, you'd cut off an ear. Like, I don't know. This got really tiring. And we are back, folks. It's less than 30 seconds into the stream and Panda's already calling for violence and getting ears cut off and whatnot. I mean, I'd say cut off your nose to spite your face, but your face seems to spite your face, Jack, so, you know, what have you.
Alright. Well, let's finish the chapter, and then,
Oh my god, we're gonna be done!
let's finish the arc, and then afterwards...
The arc? Okay,
Yeah.
go on. And then
And
afterwards?
then afterwards, let's talk a little bit about the new format we
art?
were thinking.
Yeah,
Sound
that
good?
sounds good.
All
Okay,
right.
let's do it.
But for the time being, it's Prey 14.11.
Pray for mercy.
I continued my search for the pair, but my tentative explorations of the trails of extermination mist made a sweeping search all
The
but
Trails of
hopeless.
Extermination Mist?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Made a sweeping search all but hopeless. It felt like I was facing a series of decisions where every answer had some merit.
Can I just, like, take a moment to appreciate how you said that? It was hopeless. Ugh. You know, like... I'm sorry, the way you said that was really funny.
Was it that melodramatic?
Air of being melodramatic. I mean, it's cool. How do I put it? But didn't we just, last chapter, I was like, I called Amy a drama queen? Because she is. But yeah. Okay, go on.
It felt like I was facing a series of decisions where every answer had some merit, but picking the wrong one would spell disaster. I'd had to make the call between staying at the school in case Jack and Bonesaw
But
were...
if the wrong girl does it, it will be disaster. Did I explain this joke?
You did not.
I had a classmate in grad school who, dude's Korean. There's this, what do you call it? I guess an act you put on if you're like a girl or I guess even a guy and you want to be like cutesy, you know, that like kind of cutesy. I think for the weeaboos, not the Koreaboos, different camp for some reason. For the weeaboos, they would know this as kind of like the uwu, right? Like the cutesy behavior. And in like Korea, it's called egyo, like this whole like being really cute to like, you know, just be, I guess, more appealing. So perhaps you can like wheedle your way into getting something that you want. But my classmate, I asked her like, 'cause I heard about it like when I was in dental school, and I was just like, no way this works on people, said I, the asexual, for whom nothing works on, by the way. Of course I wouldn't believe this, but I was like, does Egyo actually work? Because I watched this video on YouTube yesterday instead of studying like I was supposed to be. I did study, but again, my brain was fried. I needed a break. Anyway, I asked him if Egyo actually works, and he says, he looks at me, he thinks long and hard about the question, he says, well, yes, but if the wrong girl does it, it will be disaster. I have never forgotten those words because that was the funniest thing I've ever heard. So, what was this? But picking the wrong one would spell disaster. I heard it in my friend's classmate's voice. Yes, but if the wrong girl does it, it will be disaster. Taylor, are you the wrong girl?
Mm-hmm.
Will it be disaster?
I mean, it's already kind of a disaster.
I almost want to be, and whose fault is that? But I don't know. I can't blame anyone except for maybe Wildbow for writing. I mean, the characters really have no control over what they're doing. Kind of like me over my own life, but anyway.
I'd had to make the call between staying at the school in case Jack and Bonesaw were preparing a trap for Amy and Glory Girl, or leaving in case they'd made a run for it.
Should I stay or should I go?
I'd left, and I'd been lucky enough to be right. Except the 9 were now covering their tracks with a dozen decoys, mechanical spiders leaving trails of bug-killing smoke, leaving me to guess which direction they'd gone. Two solid...
If only you had Tattletale with you, you'd know which way they'd gone.
Two solid possibilities dwelled with me. The first was they'd headed back downtown to rendezvous with Siberian. If I was drawing the right conclusions from what I'd overheard, Bonesaw had drawn together a cocoon for Siberian, similar to the one that Amy had created for Glory Girl. They could be recovering her real body, maybe doing something to recover Mannequin or Crawler. It hadn't even crossed my mind while I was under the miasma's influence, but I also had to wonder whether Regent would have maintained his control over Shatterbird.
Ah, I hadn't thought of that. I'd forgotten about that. Whoops.
The second possibility was that they'd gone after Cherish. My conversation with Quayle had clued them in. I checked my phone. No service. Damn the director. Damn her for making this so hard, and for complicating matters. We'd been playing by...
I know, that Miss Piggy, right? Damn her.
We'd been playing by Jack's rules, more or less, and she'd given him an excuse to pull out all the stops. He probably would have anyways, but she gave him an excuse.
Alright, girl.
If I headed away from the downtown area toward the water, I could put myself in a position to track down Cherish, or to get to another point where the satellite phone would work and make a call.
Too much time thinking, not enough time doing. Come on, get a move on, get a move on.
If they were checking the harbor for Cherish, going by what she'd revealed on the phone, then I could get there first, lay a trap, or get in position to shoot them again. I figured out how to remove the magazine from the gun and check the number of rounds remaining. 6. The problem was that the whole reason I'd let Panacea keep using her power on me, instead of giving chase to Jack, was that I was supposed to cure the others. I could kill and replace the parasites that were carrying the peons. The sooner I did it, the less damage they'd do in the meantime. Some of the damage would be permanent, and the potential victims included Brian and Lisa. I wanted to head back downtown, to help my teammates and friends, but I couldn't shake the nagging doubt in the back of my mind. The difference between Jack and Bonesaw going downtown, and their going to the coastline, was that the former was almost kind, taking care of a teammate. The latter case allowed them to inflict some terrible torture on an ex-teammate of theirs. It was the most inconvenient possibility, but my gut told me they'd go after Cherish. If I had to put numbers on it, I'd have said there was a 60% chance they'd go that route.
Why would they go after Cherish?
To torture an ex-teammate.
Why? What does that accomplish?
Well, it's there are a bunch of serial killers, so...
Listen, I understand wanting to be villainous, but come on. You need a point. Listen, this would be my villain philosophy. Carnage must have a point. It's gotta be practical, at least. My Capricorn side is showing, but I'm just like, oh, hey, fuck all the plans. We're just gonna go torture Cherish for fun. Guys, what? Why? You got better shit to do.
This is someone who's always calling for blood?
Listen, that's vindictive calls for blood. That has a point. Does this really have a point? Does this have a point? What is the point? No, I'm asking, for real. Namor, what's the point of this?
Just, figuring out their psychology, I guess.
Figuring out whose psychology?
Jack and Bonesaw?
No, I'm serious. Why are they gonna run back to torture Cherish?
Because they swore to punish her. Right?
They can't see this. I'm rolling my eyes real hard. Like, really? Oh my god.
If I had to put numbers on it, I'd say there was a 60% chance that they'd go that route, a 35% chance they'd headed downtown. And there was also the possibility I was wrong, that they had something else in mind.
I would have something else in mind rather than, just mindless torture when you're this close to some kind of a victory. Like, for real, Jack knows if he escapes town, he can destroy the world, right? Yes. Me and my punchable voice. We will destroy the world. Doesn't that sound great, Boneside? Sure does, Jack. Let's go destroy the world. And they're just gonna hop off to town. Like, I would just do that. They've given Taylor and Panacea and Trash Girl, Glory Girl, Glory Trash. They've given them the slip. The bad guys have given the good guys the slip. Gee, wouldn't somebody super conniving just be like, all right, let's just, take the show on the road? I guess maybe you wouldn't put it past someone like Jack to take a victory lap, but at the same time, come on, man. What? What? What do you mean by that? It just seems completely not practical.
I don't know if Jack's a very practical guy, honestly. He's just extra. And that's what makes him so punchable.
You're gonna fucking lose, you idiot! I was never cheering for you guys, but there's something my mother says to me when I go biting off more than I could chew, or when I try to take a victory lap, when I really should just, let things be. You know what she says to me? It's in Mandarin. Guy, you deserved it. If you die, you deserve it, you fucking bitch. Not that my mom would say that to me, but Guy.
Alright, I'm gonna keep going.
Oh my god, this is so annoying.
But if I was wrong, if I went to the harbor to try to get ahead of them and Jack didn't go that way, then my friends would suffer for it. Brian had been through enough, and while Lisa had seemed to deal okay after she'd been scarred, I was willing to bet she valued her mind more than she valued her face. I headed downtown.
I mean, I value my mind more than I value my face. Not anymore. My mind's busted. Anyway.
No matter which way I chose to go, I'd have that awful feeling of regret in my chest. I tried to quiet it by telling myself that with Tattletale and the others, I'd actually be able to do something against the 9. A gun and knife didn't cut it, no matter how scattered or few in number they were. I couldn't quite manage to convince myself. As it didn't cost me anything significant in terms of forward momentum, I let Atlas carry me higher. I was getting more comfortable flying him, and there was little difference in being 150 feet above the ground and being 500 stories up. I wanted to assess the situation. Was my dad one of the people who was depending on this cure? The topography of the city had impacted where the miasma was spreading. As far as I could tell, it wasn't really advancing into the north end of the city. Wakura's bombing campaign and the militarization of the ABB had predominantly focused on the docks. Leviathan had arrived in the docks, and his destruction of the city's water infrastructure and power had hit that part of the city hardest. I wondered if this would be the first real instance where the docks weren't hit as hard by the ongoing series of disasters and attacks in Brockton Bay. I descended back to a safer distance, where falling wouldn't be terminal, and tried to plan. Finding Tattletale was number 1. With her assistance, everything else would be easier. As much as I wanted to make Gru my second priority, I knew that there were other things that took precedence. Siberian was a big one. Finding a way to distribute the cure was another. Once I started, it would set up a chain reaction, but I had to decide how to start it off. Tattletale first. She could help me find Siberian and figure out how to distribute the antidote. I tracked the trails of extermination smoke as I flew. I was faster than they were, but they were elusive, staying out of sight and moving through awkward positions. I spotted one mechanical spider moving through a trash-littered alleyway and changed my route to close in on another trail. My second confirmation of a mechanical spider left me with the feeling that I'd made the wrong call. But it was too late to turn back. It would be faster to go help Tattletale and get her assistance than to turn around and fumble along on my own. They were traveling on foot, I hoped, and they still had to find Cherish. She was bound to be in a remote spot, and they didn't have many clues to work with. It would take time. Things hadn't exactly been quiet while I'd been gone. Calm down. If we all just stop fighting, then this doesn't end in tragedy. Why should I believe you? I'll tell you as soon as I can think of a convincing reason. Tattletale was on the street alone, facing down Bitch, 2 dogs and 1 wolf on full tilt mutation mode. They advanced with measured steps, keeping close to their master. I landed beside Tattletale, and the 2 of us made eye contact. Elle missed. A carnelian, she answered. You understand if I don't trust you implicitly here? I do. Listen, I've got a cure. Who the fuck are you? Rachel shouted. I shut my mouth.
Hey, bitch, how are you? Long time no see. You know, you don't even have to say bitch, and I'm just kind of like, there you are. Have you been a good girl? Have you given the dog sitters trouble?
I shut my mouth and turned to face her. I was secretly glad the dogs hadn't turned on her, as that probably would have meant the death of a teammate. But I was getting a first-hand look
Oh my god, how funny would that have been, though? I'm sorry, I think that would have been funny. Oh my god, why do I think that's funny? No, seriously, I'm not actually sure. Why is that funny?
It's an ironic way to go, I guess.
Yeah.
As that probably would have meant the death of a teammate, but I was getting a first-hand look at what our enemies had to deal with. The dogs were big and vicious enough that if they attacked, there wasn't a whole lot I could have done. Heck, Tattletale and I together couldn't have managed much of a defense against one of the creatures, let alone 3. We're teammates, I told her. I was just fighting the 9. I've got a cure for this thing. Or you're gonna kill me the second I let my guard down.
Ah, who else has PTSD? I don't want to be in your squad, though. Seriously, that's like the worst set of teammates. Everyone has PTSD. How horrible. Everyone has CPTSD to boot. That's the worst thing.
I mean, basically, all of the capes have continued traumatic.
I would make an excellent cape. I have CPTSD, high functioning depression. I'm definitely not neurotypical by a long shot. I mean, I might be autistic. I'm not sure. Jury's still out and it will never be in. I would make an excellent cape, wouldn't I?
Mm-hmm.
Nah? What do you think?
I think you would be.
I've only tried to kill myself half a dozen times by now.
You'd be a very good cape.
Would I?
We have already established this.
Good cape or a bad cape?
That's a good question.
Or not even a cape, would I be a turncoat? But I'm just kidding. I do share a birthday with Benedict Arnold, and I don't know why that makes me, like, very annoyed. Anyway.
I'd been conned by the 9, tricked into letting them get access to certain information.
So have a lot of people. Don't beat yourself up for this one.
Bitch wouldn't have fallen for that, but that came with the caveat that she was that much harder.
Would she not have? Are you sure about that? Are we really sure about that?
You think bitch would have fallen for it?
Look, I don't know. You know how I conceive of her in my head? Basically, a dog in human form.
So why
like
would
an
she?
Angry dog.
Why would she trust a stranger?
You don't need her to trust you. Dogs can be trained and possibly manipulated because they are dogs.
So you think?
I think of Rachel as a dog. I pretty much do.
So you think Jack would have been able to manipulate her somehow?
I think Siberian came close.
Yeah, fair.
I think she came close. And listen, you know what Rachel reminds me of? Those 3 stray dogs in our neighborhood that are not really stray dogs. I mean, they bark at us, but listen, if I held out my hand with like, dog treats and I came over and I was nice to that dog every day, do you think that dog would bite me later? Probably not.
I mean, but that takes time, right?
Well, sure, but plenty of time has passed. This arc has been going on for that long! Anyway.
Bitch wouldn't have fallen for that, but that came with the caveat that she was that much harder for us to reassure. I can put my weapons away, or give them to you. I'm not that stupid, she growled the words. Don't treat me like I'm retarded. I'm not. I know you have powers. That wasn't what I wanted to say, I said. I kept my voice low, my tone as calm as I could manage.
See, you just treat her like she's a rabid, mad dog.
I was just saying I'd disarm myself if it would reassure you. The only thing that's gonna make me feel any better is getting the fuck away from here. But she wouldn't get out of my way.
She is Tattletale?
Yep.
Okay.
If you leave, Tattletale told her, you'll go straight to the train yard, to your other dogs, and you'll get worse. You'll wind up isolated from the rest of us. And I think the 9 want that. They wanted
that's right.
They wanted people for their group, and doesn't this set their candidates up for easy recruiting? Separate them from their previous attachments, leave them vulnerable and lost, then give them the hard sell?
That's an abuse tactic. Classic. Isolate? I'm the only one who will love you. You know, as Frollo sang to Quasimodo in the movie, I am your only friend. You know, it's that whole shtick. Classic abuse.
Not that you're wrong,
Good
I
one,
said,
Tattletale. Good one, TT.
glancing at Tattletale while trying to keep the dogs in sight. I saw Jack trying that with Panacea, but Bitch tends to see it as slimy or conniving when someone talks a lot. I see. You want to try then?
We settle this like bitches, with a tug of war. You gotta use your jaws.
Mm-hmm. Bentley growled. It didn't sound like a dog growl. What worried me, though, was Bastard. He was untrained enough that he wouldn't necessarily listen to Bitch, and big enough to feel confident about attacking. Not that I was positive she would stop him if he attacked. As much as she felt like she'd feel more secure on her own, Bitch might well decide she could resolve this situation by killing anyone who threatened her. It wasn't that she was the murdering type, but she didn't have the innate sympathy for her fellow humans. She cared as little about murdering us as I might feel about killing 2 dogs, if I felt like my life was on the line. I'd been in a similar headspace, trying to figure out who was friendly and who wasn't. Jack had been more on the ball than I, and I'd fallen for his ploy. I'd deal with the guilt over what that might mean at a later point. A little while ago, we spent some time in one of your shelters. I'm guessing you don't remember who, but do you remember chilling out and eating Greek food with someone? You could have found that out through someone else. I know. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just wanting you to think about that feeling. I'd like to think we got along, as far as people like you and people like me can get along with others. Doesn't mean anything to me now.
Can you pass me the cup for water?
Okay. I let my arms drop to my sides. That's it? That's your argument? I don't really have much better. I know that if I tried to convince you using logic and a well-worded argument, you'd feel like I was being manipulative. All I can say is that we had a good time then. We were friendly. I know we parted ways sometime after that, but I'd really like to get back to that point. So I'm appealing to that emotional attachment, I guess. You think I'm attached to you? This again. This situation seemed to be highlighting the worst parts of people and twisting others. Amy's paranoia, Legend's battle instincts, Bitch's antisocial tendencies, and my... whatever it was that led to me trusting Jack. Yeah, I'm making that assumption, I told her. Fuck you. She advanced and I stayed put. Sirius growled. I'm not your enemy, I said. We'll attack you. If you do, maybe the cure will get transmitted to your dog, and then to you. You're not that stupid.
I don't know. I don't know.
I shook my head. Not really, but I don't think you'll attack me either. She advanced closer. Sirius growled again, and she held out one hand out to stop him. So glad they still listen to her. This would be a disaster if the dogs were on a rampage. I suppose the miasma was slower to affect them, given their mass, or the vectors it affected weren't present or as predominant in dogs. She stepped close until her nose was an inch from mine. She stared unflinching into my eyes. I met her gaze with that same unforgiving hardness. No way I could like someone like you. The words were like the twist of a knife. Hostility.
Wait, can you say that again?
No way I could like someone like you.
And there's the PTSD.
The words were like the twist of a knife. Hostility and aggression combined with pure, petty malice. Just going by looks, when you can't see half my face? I asked. Without breaking eye contact, I reached up and pulled down the lower half of my mask. You don't recognize me? She didn't glance away from my eyes. No. Now move. I will order them to attack. She would. She could. I leaned forward and planted a quick kiss on her lips. Her punch knocked me off my feet and sent my glasses flying off my face to land in the water somewhere nearby. Yo. You listening?
Sorry, responding. Okay.
I leaned forward and planted a quick kiss on her lips. You were not listening.
On this bitch?
On Bitch's lips.
No, I don't ship it.
Okay.
No. Why are you doing... What the hell?
Well, remember how the cure is transmitted?
Saliva?
Any of her body fluids, yeah.
You can just spit on her?
Yep. Are you okay there? Her punch knocked me off my feet and sent my glasses flying off my face.
I'm sorry, I can't, my face is stuck like this. You know that face that kombucha girl made? The before picture, not the after. Like, okay, it's all right. No, just the before. Like, no.
No.
It's a no for me, dog.
Dislike.
It's like, ew. Punch and claw.
Yeah, to land in the water somewhere nearby. The fuck? She shouted. One of the dogs growled, deep, as if to complement her anger with a threat of his own.
Okay, Prince Charming. Wow. Frog Prince? Frog Prince much?
Right?
Ugh.
You're cured, I told her. That's it. That's all it takes. She stared down at me. If this doesn't work, she might kill me for real. Tattletale helped me to my feet and handed me my glasses. I got my mask in place around the lower half of my face, and then gathered bugs over the mask and glasses to hide my features. How's that work? Tattletale asked. The effects are being generated by a parasite. Panacea changed the parasite.
I would have just spit on her.
Right?
Or, I don't know, orifices, like, I guess giving her, like, a wet willy wouldn't do it, but that would be my way of doing it.
Whoa.
Like, I'm Panda. There's this, and I don't know, stick her finger up her nose. This is just very, like, wow.
No, thank you.
No, thank you.
Okay.
No, thank you. No, please, you can have this. I don't want it. Take it back.
Panacea changed the parasite to some kind of symbiotic species that overrides the effects of Bonesaw's work and heals the effects on the brain. My bodily fluids are carrying it. That means that right now...
There were many solutions to this.
That means that right now, the parasites in bitches' bodies should be dying or getting replaced or transformed or something. I hope. I dusted myself off, wiped at my costume, where I'd landed in the water, and made sure none of my belongings had dropped from their positions in my armor or my belt. I didn't hurry to meet Bitch's eyes, because I knew that when I did, I'd have to maintain that gaze. Only when I was done did I meet her eyes. She took her time responding. I was going to have Bentley break you. It worked. Glad you didn't.
Did it really work, or is she just in love with you now? I don't know how dog sociology works. Oh wait, no, that's butt sniffing. Yeah, you know what? This is definitely the better alternative.
Jesus, Panda.
No, I'm just thinking. Look, listen. My parents have a dog. You know how dogs greet each other.
Yeah,
Why are you looking at me like that?
Panda.
What?
We're not going to cure people through butt sniffing.
No, of course not. That's ridiculous.
You cure people by kissing, okay?
See, in my field, that's how you gain various illnesses.
Right, but this one's a symbiotic species.
I failed to see the benefit here.
Glad you didn't. Why? Why had I done it? I tried to explain it to her so many times. I couldn't bring myself to do it again. Doesn't matter. Tattletale pointed down at the water just behind me. I turned around and looked. Where I'd landed on my back, the water was changing from red to a relatively clear state. Relatively, only because the water hadn't been that clear to begin with. Guess it's working. Good, I said. The last swirls of red disappeared from around my feet, and the water around me began to change back to normal. With increasing speed, the water around us began to transition back to normal at nearly the speed the effect had spread in the first place. It extended out in every direction, promising to revert most or all of the affected bodies of water. You couldn't have waited until after you'd cured me before you put the bugs on your face? Tattletale asked.
She wants a kiss!
She was smiling as she asked it. Unless you want me to drink that water. Sorry, no. I'll help you out. She gave me a stern look, pointed at me, and said, No tongue. Oh, you shipped this, huh?
No, I'm just surprised she thought about that. That she thought that Taylor was gonna do it. Like, she calculated in her head that there was a percentage. And yes, of course, I shipped this one. This one's cute. Look, I don't ship bitch with anyone. It seems weird.
Fair.
It just seems weird. As a fellow ace, I respect this need to keep distance. Of course, I am a stray cat, not a dog, but it's still like,
I rolled my eyes, scattered the bugs, pulled my face down, and leaned over to give her a quick peck on the lips.
Wildbow, what possessed you to write all this? Are you actually into Yuri?
No, I don't think so.
How many of the other readers are into Yuri? How much fan art and shipping and discourse has there been over this?
I mean,
You know, you'd think I'd be really into this, but I'm just kind of like,
a lot of people
squeed over this stuff.
probably. Yeah.
I'm not very squee over this because I don't know why. It's just kind of like,
It's very practical, huh?
yeah.
Okay.
Like, where's the romance?
Now fill me in. I'll fill in the blanks as you explain, and hopefully it'll work fast enough that I can catch up. Jack and Bonesaw tricked me and coiled to figure out where both Cherish and Amy were. I gave chase, and Jack left before he accomplished anything more than head games. Stage she's in, head games are pretty serious. Maybe, but at least she didn't cave on his demands. Sure. The bad thing is, Jack knows about Dina's prophecy. Tattletale looked as though I'd slapped her. Shit. I mean, her numbers weren't that good as far as our mortality rate going up against the 9, so maybe she's wrong about... I stopped as Tattletale shook her head. Depends how you interpret it, she said. The kid sounded pretty certain. Anyways, keep going. Siberian somewhere downtown. Her real body in some kind of case, maybe.
Like a trash can made out of dead cats?
Yes, exactly like that. I think we might have run into her, Tattletale said.
See, the addition of that, like, that bone plate with the face makes it a head case. Makes her a head case.
It's a head case.
Hey, jokes. Oops.
I think we might have run into her, Tattletale said. I wasn't paying a lot of attention to details, mostly just trying to avoid trouble. But I'm pretty sure she was hauling around something big. Fuck, I think she might have had a friend. A friend. Siberian.
Right.
A friend? Hookwolf. I nodded slowly.
That's what I keep getting confused. You know, Hookwolf sounds like hookworm.
Oh.
That's why I keep thinking, that's why, like, anytime I picture Hookwolf, for some reason, I don't picture what I feel like I should. I'm just kind of like, I picture a parasite first. I think hookworm is something that dogs get.
Sounds right, yeah.
Yeah. Go on.
I nodded slowly. Where was she headed? North. Where did Coil Stick Cherish?
North.
Tattletale made a face. North. If there had been a wall in reach, I would have punched it. Wonderful.
Punch bitch! She's right there. She's, I think.
Lol.
Hey, one good punch deserves another, I say.
Explain? Bitch asked. They're heading over to Cherish's location. I'm almost 100% positive, Tattletale explained. If Siberian's heading there to rendezvous with them, then any further encounters with them are going to be ugly. Doubly so if they have new blood on their team. Hookwolf, under the influence of Bonesaw's miasma, I added. Don't know what its reasons were for staying here, but the miasma seems to have eliminated that. He's with the 9. Maybe permanently. Bonesaw will keep it from killing him, I guess. So they got their candidate? And, I addressed Bitch as I spoke, they might be looking for more candidates to round out their group. If they left Siberian behind to try to recruit Hookwolf, and they tried a pretty aggressive strategy against Panacea, then they might also make another stab at recruiting you. Or Regent. Or Noelle, Tattletale added. Why did that give me such a bad feeling?
Well, I mean, anything involving Noelle can give you a bad feeling.
Yeah.
Seems to be how it is.
I sighed. Let's hope it doesn't come to that. I think we should give chase. Head to where Cherish is? I nodded. It hasn't been too long, so they won't have much time to prepare any counterattack. It does still leave the problem of finding the others, and curing them before something bad happens. If the cure is contagious... Bitch, you think you could work on finding and curing the others? How? I spoke up. Cure your dogs. Spit in their mouths, whatever.
Listen, dogs, you don't have to spit in their mouths. Dogs, you know what my dog does around dinner time? That's right, she comes sniffing up, wanting whatever is on my plate. Look, listen, you just get yourself like a burrito or something, or like, I don't know, you spit in a cup and you you like drink a cup of water and you go, this is so good. You spit in that cup, you drop it on the ground, those dogs will lap it up. That's how dogs work. I think that whatever we're eating or drinking is like the best thing. They proved this in studies. So what did they do? They had a couple of groups of like humans, one the test group, one the control group, with their dogs, like with their pets. And in the control group, they would have the humans choose the larger plate of food as opposed to the smaller plate of food when offered. They made sure the dogs could see this. And so in the control group, the humans chose the larger plate of food, which was logical, right? When you're offered two choices, you're going to want more. You're going to want more resources. In that group, like the dogs would just, choose the bigger plate of food usually, and no bones about it. And then in the test group, they presented the human and the dog with a small plate of food. And so a small plate of food and a big plate. And in the test group, the humans purposely chose the small plate, and the dogs, after observing their owners, would choose the small plate as well, which kind of runs counterintuitive to how dogs work. If you've ever had a dog, who cares? The way that they act, like the way Kelly acts, like, please, some food for the starving dog. Kelly, we just fed you. Please, some food for the starving dog. She makes those eyes at you. So I'm just saying, bitch, you don't need to like spit in the dog's mouth. Like, I guess that's the quickest way to do it. But listen, you hock a loogie in like the right, you just feed the dogs your leftovers. They will eat it. Just make sure there's no onions or garlic or like nightshade plants and you're good. I'm just saying, that's how dogs work. I don't have to trick Kelly into eating something. If I drop a roll from the dinner table onto the floor, you bet it's going to be in Kelly's mouth before any of us gets a chance to ask, shit, what happened?
Cute. Dogs are so cute.
I love dogs.
Right.
We should get one.
Then see about tracking down the others, ambushing them, and having the dogs lick their faces? He scowled. I haven't trained them to do that. You've got 10 minutes to teach them, Tattletale grinned. Whatever. You'll see about curing the others? Yeah, Bitch pointed, but it won't work with my dogs. They kill any parasites while my power's working. Right. I could remember curing Sirius of heartworm. I shrugged. Another way? Maybe if you dose some fresh water with a new parasite, spit in it, then splash people? People are going to start getting better fast with the water changing, but let's make sure our side is okay. Bitch nodded once.
Why is this so funny? Like the Undersider's just hawking loogies into the local pool and the police being like, hey, you kids, stop that! But then, I don't know, somehow or other, the spit gets them. It's just like, what were we chasing after you for? Oh my god. Okay, let's never speak of this again. It's just, they're hawking loogies into the local water supply and it's actually beneficial. This is hilarious!
And can you loan me Bentley? Tattletale asked. Starting to wonder why I'm on this team. Bit grumbled.
But you now remember that you're on a team. Come on, tell them you love them, you tsundere.
You have to ask? Tattletale grinned as she approached Bentley. I know it's just words, I told Bitch, but I'm glad you're back. She stared at me like I was speaking Klingon.
I'm making a face because the reference, like, wow, I would not have. So Star Trek is a thing in this universe.
Yeah, apparently. I believe the timeline divergence was only in like the 80s.
Sure, but it's funny.
Yeah.
It's funny. It's genuinely funny.
Let's go, Tattletale said as she climbed onto Bentley. He growled, but she didn't seem to mind. Maybe his bark was worse than his bite and she knew it? Either way, I decided to trust her and took off. I'd done my part, and I'd have to trust Bitch to complete the task. I was making more forward progress than Tattletale, though I could feel Atlas fatiguing. It wasn't the same as the fatigue I experienced, but he was slowing down fractionally in his wing beats per second. It stood to reason. He was big, and he hadn't eaten since he was created. That was compounded by the fact that he'd been going full bore with minimal chance to rest. Still, we had the advantage of being able to fly over obstacles, which was something I was gaining a greater appreciation of since I'd gotten the hang of flying him. With Atlas being tired, not wanting to lose track of Tattletale, I kept our flight close to the ground. Where is she? I called out as I met her pace. Boat graveyard, beach ship, she's in the hold. Coyle told you this? No, but he'll forgive me for figuring it out, given circumstances. If you're sure. It wasn't a short trip. Our destination was north of the market, and the market was a distance from my house. We were making our way from downtown to the boat graveyard. When the local industry had collapsed, the boat graveyard had been something of a staging ground for the irate dock workers.
You were about to say irate dog workers.
Maybe. Shipping companies based in Brockton Bay saw the signs of what was coming and trapped other boats in the harbor as a form of protest to ensure they weren't walking away empty-handed. Police had made arrests, but actually moving the ships out of the way required sailors, and the move had mobilized enough of them that clearing the upper areas of the docks of the ships became all but impossible. Things capped off with fights, gunfire, and a deliberate sinking of a container ship by one of the protesters. Opinions varied on whether the incident had been a symptom or a cause of the collapse. Either way, the result was the boat graveyard, an entire section of the coastline where boats had sat for so long that they'd rusted or taken on water. We paused at the top of a hill overlooking the scene. 40 or 50 derelict ships, some bigger in sheer mass than the skyscrapers downtown. Leviathan's waves had slammed them all into the coastline, smashing them against one another and turning more than a few into something unrecognizable. Even with Tattletale's hint, I wasn't sure I could have found where Cherish was lurking. How do we find her before she finds us? I asked. We don't. She knows where we are. I scanned the wreckage with my eyes. Would Siberian pop out? Hookwolf? They aren't attacking. Tattletale shook her head, but she didn't speak. My bugs began searching for signs of life. You outrange her, Tattletale spoke. You detect them, you attack before she can whammy us. Yeah. That lot of good it'll do with Siberian there. I was getting a sense of why there wasn't any foot traffic here. Even on land, the force of Leviathan's tidal wave had sent age-worn sheets of metal flying over the landscape. Ragged edges of rusty sheet metal waited under every step I took, scraping and stabbing against the soles of my costumed feet. Tattletale was relying on Bentley's weight and durability to handle anything that waited underfoot. He was still panting hard from the run. My swarm sense alerted me to life in the hold of a ship. Its space was half filled with sand, and water had leaked in through a hole in the side of the ship. If supplies were delivered by way of remote control, that was a likely route. 7 people. 3 male, 4 females, one of whom was young. A child, long-haired. That would be Bonesaw. There, I pointed at the location. It was barely visible from where we stood. 2 ships had been slammed against one another, nose to nose, and they formed a precarious arch over the ship in question. Yeah. I found them, I think. I think Siberian's there. There's a lot of people, anyways. 7. How much damage do you think you can do? Not enough. We paused. Cherish should be alerting them, Tattletale spoke. I'm surprised they aren't mounting a counterattack. Maybe they can't? If they split up, Siberian won't be able to protect everyone, I said. Well, getting closer is a pretty bad idea. Do we have a choice? We hang back. We follow them, we strike if we spot an opportunity. Between Bentley and Atlas, we can keep at a distance. I shook my head. Bentley's tired, and I don't know how long Atlas is going to be able to keep flying. They'll manage. You sure? Pretty sure. Pretty sure. So she wasn't positive. There's another possibility.
It's Tattletale. I wouldn't second guess her.
Do tell. Cherish might not be saying anything because she wants us to attack the others. Or, I pointed out, the 9 are giving us that impression because they want us to think that so they can turn the tables. That line of thinking leads to madness. Call me crazy, but I'd rather not gamble. So, what's the plan? We wait. At least a little while. Sure. She gave the bulldog a pat on the head.
This arc is so exciting.
Give Bentley a chance to rest. You can feed Atlas. Pretty narrow window of time, I added. Bitch's effects on the dogs don't last that long. Figure 20 minutes, and we took at least 15 to get here. But she gave them more juice than usual. I'd say roughly 10 minutes before he's too small to carry me, Tattletale said. 10 minutes. We settled into a position behind cover, and I began drawing bugs to me to feed Atlas. I wasn't positive about his diet, and Gru had said that he'd given Atlas a more human digestive system, which left me uncertain.
A bug with a human digestive. That just, I'm sorry, it just never stops getting me. That like, oh yeah, I forgot. He's got like I don't know, like you cut him open and like I would recognize all the organ systems. Just, whoo! I keep forgetting about that, and it's just always like, oh yeah, that's right. Does he have teeth too? Like for some reason, I picture Atlas with teeth every time they say that, like human teeth, like incisors that you can smile at.
I believe he does. Right?
I suppose he would need teeth if he has a human digestive system, because that is the first step in digestion for us.
That said, Atlas was made of bugs. I figured he required the nutrients that provided on a sheer logical level, like how humans would generally get most of the nutrients they needed by eating other humans if they had to.
What? Oh, right.
That, and I pointed out to the rest of the group how bugs were something...
Wow, the leaps of logic in this work of fiction. I need to protect my sister. Let's encase her in a literal meat suit. Well, I need to eat bugs. Well, hey, even humans will eat other humans when they're starving. Girl, what the fuck? Respectively? Listen, I have seen PTSD and my brain isn't this fuck yet. Like, wow. And I'm twice your age, kiddos. What is going on? The leaps of science. The leaps in logic in this series, I swear to God. By the way, how close are we to done? I need to take a shower and go for a walk.
How far are we? I think we're very close.
That's the end of the arc? Oh my God. They fucking get away, don't they?
That, and Ed pointed out to the rest of the group how bugs were something we could eat as humans, so his digestive tract could probably manage them.
Wait. She also spent time explaining to them? Is she explaining this to them?
Not at the moment, but she pointed this out like maybe 5 arcs ago.
I mean, us eating bugs is not as weird because they're not human.
Yeah.
Like, eating bugs is very normal in many parts of the world.
So she's saying that it should be okay to feed Atlas bugs because with a human digestive system.
I guess humans eat monkeys.
I guess so too. Yeah.
How would you describe the look on my face right now?
Flabbergasted?
Disgusted.
Disgusted?
It's like, okay, I guess.
Okay, I guess. It was also the easiest thing to provide. You have eyes on them? Minimal. My interpretation via the swarm's eyes and ears is still garbage, as always. And I didn't want to have so many around them that they get suspicious. Can't make out what they're saying? I shook my head. Still, I could tell that they were talking. 7 of them. One of the men was garbed in smooth body armor that covered everything. Mannequin. There was another man who could have been Siberian's real self or Hookwolf. Long-haired, shirtless.
Oh shit. I bet it's Hookwolf. I don't know why. Neo-Nazis seem to like being shirtless.
Yeah, also,
and
I don't know if you know this, but Hookwolf used to be a underground fighter.
You know, that somehow, wow, somehow that just seems very apt, appropriate. I don't know. It's just like, huh, you know, I could see that. But yeah, also, listen, otaku, tracksuit, I'm expecting a man in like joggers and a stained t-shirt with yesterday's mustard on it. I'm also describing my high school chem teacher. That's right. How you doing, Mr. Park? Fuck you. Give me back my drawing. I've never forgiven you for that.
Oh.
No, seriously. This motherfucker. The only thing that you could not do in his class was draw. Very specifically. You could gossip. You could text messages on your phone. You could do literally anything and everything except for make a drawing. Yeah. Very specific. I'm pretty sure his ex-wife was an artist. That's the only thing I have to go off of.
It's pretty BS.
It's pretty BS. And of course, me being me, I doodle. So I got my notebook confiscated and my drawing burned. I think that's what he did with it.
Mm-hmm.
Never forgotten about that. And even as a 33-year-old, I'm just completely baffled by the fact that, like, that is just so specific. You could do anything.
My bugs traced the edges of knives at one man's belt. He was the quietest and was pacing without cease, sitting down, then pacing again. Jack. 3 women, none of whom were Siberian, if I accounted for the presence of clothing and the texture of their skin. Rounding out the group was a little girl with long hair. One of the women was doing most of the talking. Would that be Shatterbird or Cherish? Who was the third? Had the 9 gotten their hands on Noelle? It unsettled me that Jack wasn't taking more of a lead in the conversation. Maybe Cherish was just dishing out the dirt? The dynamic seems wrong, I said. Something's off. Not sure if Siberian's present or not. Bonesaw's quiet, and Jack is mute. Maybe Cherish took control? Tattletale ventured. It was a scary thought. The 9 were strong, and one of the only reasons they weren't a bigger problem was that they were their own worst enemies. Most of our
Play that arcane opening. Everybody wants to be my enemy. I'm sorry. The way the singer says that, I'm just kind of like, whoa there, buddy. This is why breath support is important.
Mm-hmm. Most of our victories to date had been because we exploited their character weaknesses. Under a leader? No. Bonesaw took measures. Maybe Cherish found a way around it?
So let me get this straight. Jack's not talking.
Jack's not talking. He's pacing around.
Indicating nervousness.
Mm-hmm. Bonesaw's being very quiet. One of the women is leading the conversation.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, feels off, doesn't it?
Did they all like switch personalities? Does somebody have like a quirk or something that lets you like, you know, just bonk heads and change personalities, like transfer consciousness into somebody else's body? Because that's the best I got right now.
Maybe Cherish found a way around it? I didn't have a response for that. Minutes passed, and the 9 lapsed into silence. Some were resting, or pretending to rest. They're napping or something, I said. Could be baiting you. That's what I was thinking. And Bentley's getting too small to help me make an exit. Atlas can manage with just me, I told her. Going alone? No. Gru would kill me. It's senseless. I can call Coil so we can get a squad of soldiers in place to try and take someone out. Or maybe we get the director to bomb the area. Because that's worked so well this far. Tattletale smiled a little. Smiled a little. What would you rather do? Going in is suicide. You'd be opening yourself up to Cherish's power. She's resting. You think. Not sure which person she is, but her breathing is really regular. Has been for a while. And she could be faking it. 100% aware that you're thinking what you're thinking. Yeah.
Oh my god, it's one of those, like, I think, does he know that I know that he knows that I know? You know, like one of those things.
Uh-huh.
Oh man, I hate these.
Yeah, I admitted. Why are you so fixated on this? On going in? I want to end this.
You want to be a hero.
That's not your real reason. And I feel like something...
She's back! Tattletale's back!
And I feel like something's wrong. The details don't jibe. That's a less than stellar reason to put your...
kids say that? Jibe?
Taylor says that, apparently.
We're not going to count Taylor.
Okay.
I'm sorry. I haven't heard a child say that.
That's a less...
2012.
That's a less than stellar reason to put yourself at that kind of risk. There's a chance Siberian isn't here, or isn't in a state to defend her allies, but I can't bring myself to attack. This is a shitty time to have an attack of conscience.
Tattletale, how long have you known Taylor? Respectfully, how long have you known this girl? She gets like, that's like one of the things, you know, she gets like an attack of conscience at like the worst possible time, because she gets like a conscience attack. That's it. That's the thing. Always. Girl.
You sound like Jack. He tried to push me to kill while I thought he was Gru. You'll have to explain how all that happened at a later date. Jack's good at fucking with people's head. It could still be a trap.
I mean, Tattletale, you're good at doing that too. With all due respect, girl. Like,
Fair.
Tattletale, like, no, really.
It could. But I've got this feeling in my gut, like I had when I was around Jack and Bonesaw, and I wish I'd trusted it then. I don't want to doubt it now. A gut feeling? I nodded.
I got a feeling.
I nodded once. She sighed. What can I do? Get out of here. I don't want to hurt you if I fall under Cherish's control, which is supposed to be pretty short-lived. In case she plans to make it more long-term, maybe call the PRT director and arrange a firebomb if I don't report back.
Playing
Tattletale.
hero again. Martyr again. You have a really bad habit.
Tattletale made a face. This is dumb.
Yeah.
I've done dumb things. I somehow don't.
Also true. At least you're self-aware, Tay-Tay.
I've done dumb things. I somehow don't feel like this is one of them. Go, then. Call me as soon as it's safe. I nodded. She headed out of the graveyard with Bentley. I waited a few minutes until she was out of my power's range. Atlas and I crossed the gap to the ship. I waited for the hit of Cherish's power, but it didn't come. My bugs sensed more of Bonesaw's traps, areas heavy with fog, or where vials had been thrown, placed, or dropped. I was glad there wasn't any of the extermination smoke. I set foot on the tilted deck and began slowly making my way into the ship. My soft-soled costume feet were quiet, barely audible to myself. I drew my gun, readying myself to fire the second I was in range. If Cherish was setting up the 9 for me, I was pretty sure I could hit 1 and get away before trouble arose. It was a feeble thought.
You've tried hitting the 9 a lot, and I don't know. I want to make a bad joke about how they're armed to the teeth, but they're not actually armed to the teeth. They just have reinforced teeth, which is, again, not a thing. I don't know, man. Like, how many times you tried hitting them, only to be like, oh, that hurt. I forgot. I reinforced my eyeballs or something. Like, you're laughing. That was good?
Yes, perfect. Perfect Bonesaw.
Yeah, okay, anyway.
It was a feeble thought. Even Jack, one of their most vulnerable members, hadn't fallen to gunfire. Still,
Again, he reinforced their eyeballs and their viscera, and I don't know. Maybe even their assholes are made out of titanium by now. I don't know.
titanium butts.
Yeah, so no one can give a shit.
Still, it was reassuring. More traps forced me to make slower progress through the labyrinthine ship's interior. It was a while before I could stop at the outside of the door at the lowest point of the ship. I heard sobbing. I stepped through the doorway and took in the room's interior. The floor sloped one way. Half of the room was metal flooring covered in sand. The lowest half was submerged. 3 men, 3 women, and a girl. The man with knives in his belt stood and began the ritual pacing once again. His feet were raw where the rusted metal deck had cut at them.
What the fuck?
The others sat and stood in various points around the hole. I withdrew my phone and called Tattletale. That was fast. It's not the 9. Decoys.
So they got away again.
I stared at them. The disguises had been rushed but thorough. Jack and Bonesaw had clearly changed clothes with the people in question, and Bonesaw had whipped up something approximating mannequin's armor for one of the men. Call Coyle, get medics here. It's Bonesaw's work, so he might need to call on some expert surgeons to undo whatever she did. I'll use my bugs to mark out the traps that Bonesaw set up inside. On it, she hung up. Paralysis, compulsive movements, puppets, decoys. Had this been Jack's attempt to make me betray my morals? Setting up decoys with the idea that I'd attack first and check later? If I'd gone with my first impulse and tried to kill them, I'd have 7 civilian deaths on my hands. Hope is on the way, guys. I'm sorry about this.
Were they trying to recruit you, Tay-Tay?
I think he was just trying to, like...
Fuck with her?
Yeah, fuck with her. Turn her into a monster. So, in his words, right?
I guess, but I'm also just kind of like, that's the end of the arc. They got away.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. The 20-something woman I'd guessed to be Cherish spoke. The others were mute. I saw drag marks in the sand, leading to the water. Who had that been? The knife was the last thing I spotted. It had been slammed into the metal hull of the boat. I stepped over the chain and collar that had probably been attached to Cherish. I pulled the knife free of the wall and used my bugs to catch the note before it fluttered to the floor. We concede our loss to you, Brockton Bay. As per my agreement with Miss Amelia, we'll be leaving your fascinating city. It was fun. Don't worry about Cherish. She's sleeping somewhere at the bottom of the bay. Bonesaw was kind enough to crank up her receptive range towards negative emotions and remove her filters. The girl will personally experience every awful feeling Brockton Bay's inhabitants do, and with the benefit of Alan's tech, she'll get to do it for a very, very, very long time. A departure marked not with a bang, but a whimper. I'm sure you understand. Yours truly, Jack. End of chapter.
That was the most anticlimactic thing I have ever... That's pretty anticlimactic.
It is pretty anticlimactic. But Jack has escaped.
And now the world ends.
And the world's gonna end. Yep.
Why did I think that this was gonna be good for my depression? You know, I thought maybe interacting with people would do it, but yeah, this was a terrible idea.
Yeah, it is kind of a downer ending.
Do you think you could say that in a voice that's a little different than your Jack voice? Because, you know,
Sorry.
you're within punching range.
I'm sorry.
I don't think that's any better.
Gee golly whiz, that was kind of a downer, wasn't it?
I don't have any words.
All right. So, that was the end of the chapter. First of all, do we want to switch to our new format before or after the interludes? I'm going to give you a summary of what the interludes are, and then you tell me if you're interested in doing a live read of those, okay?
Okay.
All right. So 14.x is an interlude from Sierra's perspective.
14.x?
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
From Sierra's perspective.
Yeah.
Where you basically get a view on Taylor's territory and how Sierra's been working in it. Sierra moves corpses. She and Charlotte are attacked by gang members, and then Skitter comes back to save them. So
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
And then the next interlude is an interlude from Legend's perspective, where there's a few interesting reveals about Cauldron. Manton's Siberian's true identity is revealed, and Battery dies.
Jesus Christ.
All right, so we're gonna skip that as well.
Yeah.
Okay. So
Jesus Christ, Battery, you were wronged. Wow. Wow, that leaves a very bad taste in my mouth, given how we got to know Battery.
yeah.
Wow, that's beyond disappointing. Without ripping anyone a new one, just for fuck's sake. Wow. Can you tell me how she dies?
She actually died earlier. The hero who was following Taylor, Jack, and Bonesaw. Do you remember?
Yeah.
That was Battery. She was following them, and then Bonesaw set her spiders on.
Wait,
On
that she
her.
died from that?
Yeah, she died from that.
Okay, she died from that. Oh, and didn't Cauldron also want Jack to leave Brockton Bay?
They wanted Siberian to leave
Oh,
Brockton
right.
Bay. They wanted
But she
Siberian.
did, didn't she?
Huh?
Siberian, she did, didn't she?
Yeah, Siberian left.
So that means Cauldron got what they wanted,
They did, but Battery's dead.
which I did not really think they were gonna have any qualms about.
Mhm.
Oh,
Yikes, right? Okay.
Wow, that I cannot. I don't know how to put into words how yikes that is.
Okay.
Pretty fucking yikes.
So, I think we will call this the end of the arc. The next time we do a live read, it's gonna be Panda Reacts to all of Worm. We're basically just going to go through the entire synopsis of Worm. I'm gonna summarize everything to her, and
if there's any like highlight chapters I'm interested in, maybe we'll like look at those.
yeah, we can look at those maybe in the next episode, but I kind of figure we could just come revisit things arc by arc whenever we feel like it.
Yeah, why does this...
It's depressing. It is a little depressing.
I don't know. Depressing's not really the right word. Like, I'm not mad. I'm disappointed. But like, I'm serious. I'm just like really disappointed. Like, I don't know. I actually had high hopes for the Slaughterhouse 9 because I thought they had really cool powers and I thought their setup was really good. Like, their introductions were really good, right? Like, that's a very good like who's who like lineup, you know? Like, it was very cinematic, and this is how it goes. I'm kind of curious, was it planned to be kind of like this from the beginning, or like did it just kind of end up this way? Like, I mean, I'm
not sure.
I'm struggling with my writing currently a little bit, kind of. I think I actually finished it pretty satisfyingly. I just have a couple of epilogues to write, but like I don't know, man. This whole arc has been just really disappointing. I mean, I know you said it's not a lot of people's favorite arc and this is why people don't react and all, but wow, just ooh, that is a very yikes. Like the battery thing, like, oh, that was I mean, I almost feel like in a way, yeah, it was set up with the whole like Cauldron being like, hey, we need you to let this villain leave the city alive. Like, you probably could have guessed that something bad was going to happen to her. Like, you know, that sense of dramatic irony or something. But, like, it's just, how many times have, like, I've actually lost track by now how many times the Slaughterhouse 9 just, like, you know, play their little games and then they get away with what they get away with, and you just kind of, it's just like, we're gonna go after them. Oh no, they got away. We're gonna go after them. Oh no, they got away again. I'm just... Oh my goodness. I could never pull this kind of shit at work, right? Like, well, let me try this problem. No, let me try this solution. No, it didn't work. Okay, well, shucks. Let's try it again. Like, in real life, like, when you have, like, the sort of, like, I feel like for certain types of jobs, like, or even just in real life, like, you know, if somebody at McDonald's got your order wrong like 3 or 4 times in a row, aw shucks, I'm sorry, the ice cream machine is broken again. You know, like, you'd be really disappointed.
Yeah. Fair.
I don't know. I mean, I'm sorry. I know I was like piecing out. I'm only half paying attention whenever like we're reading this, but I don't know. I feel like there's no reason to get invested. But this is me. I'm fine with spoilers. I always want like a good reason to get invested in anything, and I feel like the returns are diminishing as this arc goes on.
And this is kind of why we decided, okay, instead of reading things chapter by chapter, like, there's a lot about Worm that I love, right? Like, there's a reason why I've been part of the Doof Media community for such a long time. And
I think you've been part of this community longer than we've been married.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. And a big part of that is, well, because Worm is just a very interesting story with a lot of warts, right?
Warts?
Warts, yeah, right? It's...
I mean, I'm sorry, I don't like this as much as the rest of you. Come at me with your torches and pitchforks, but it's just, I don't know, this sense of disappointment, you know?
And to be fair, like, this sense of disappointment, I think, was intentional, because this was very, like, Worm is not a happy work, right?
No, I know, but how much time and energy do you have to put into, like, reading this and writing this? I ask.
Yeah, and I mean,
for a payout.
Here's the thing, it also feels different, because with me reading Worm to you, it's just going to take us longer to get through each chapter, right?
I guess so, but it's really hard to, like, skim through something when, like, it's hard to skim through something thinking things are going to be okay and then like realizing that this is not that kind of work where like nothing's ever going to be okay. Everything's just gonna it's not like, here's the thing about Greek tragedies and regular tragedies, like say Titanic for instance, right? There's only a certain amount of disappointment people can take. Like my whole life is a disappointment. I have depression. Well, not all of it. You're here, but you know, it's just there's only so much I feel like you can take. So I don't know, how slow can you make a train wreck before people like actually start to look away? And that's part of, I feel like, my problem with this, you know? I feel like if Worm were condensed a lot more, like if I were a TV editor, I would probably condense a lot of things. I feel like this, you know, it's like, oh no, we did this thing again. Oh no, we did this thing again. I struggled with this when I was writing my most recent art because I kept trying, I was like, is this really okay? I mean, the number of times, like, there's been kind of a bait and switch, like, you know, this whole, like, oh no, we chased after the mad bomber, she got away again. Although in my case, it's only happened, like, twice. Over the course of, like, a couple of months. So I've condensed everything. I don't know, that's just my style. I prefer to, like, condense things and make things hard-hitting. I like reading Shonen Jump, for instance. I don't know what to say here. I'm just kind of, I feel completely demotivated.
No, I totally get it. And it's like, I did not feel great about the end of this arc as well, but I was binge reading, right, at the time. So I just pressed the next chapter and I kept reading. And I found out what happened next.
You were skimming.
And I was definitely skimming.
Like, I'm the kind of person who actually likes reading short, compact novels. So, like, there's a reason why I've kind of taken to, like, Japanese literature in a way. Like, I like how you can do a lot with a little for, like, poetry, for, like, writing, for all that stuff, right? Maybe not food, because, you know, volume counts for your stomach, but I don't know. I guess I like reacting to every little thing. I like little details and things like that. And there are details here, but it's a bit much as far as details go. And the little details don't really have payoff until you've consumed a lot of them. It's like milliliters to a liter, you know? Like, you're not going to be able to step back. Like, every single time, it's like, oh, are we getting closer? Oh, is this thing happening? Is something happening? Nope, you're at 20 mils, just 20 mils. And you're waiting for 1,000. And you don't see the full picture until that glass is 1,000 milliliters or a full liter full. Like, you only start to see the picture of it, like, at a certain point. But then you have to really, like, keep going and going and going and going. And I don't know. I don't know how to talk about the things I'm disappointed by.
Nate, do you want to spend some time talking?
I kind of want to, but I'm also thinking I might just get torches and pitchforked out of the community for it, which I guess is fine.
You're not going to be.
Okay.
Like, we are here. Well, okay, I'm here to get your honest reaction to this and to share the things I love about Worm, but to also to just get an honest reaction from you.
I feel like I probably would have enjoyed Worm if it was condensed. Like, heavily edited. So that, like, you could always, like, kind of see the point coming in a way, you know? Rather than having to wait for the details to slowly filter down like a fine sand before you can, like, see what it is.
Yeah, it's like, it's not a super polished work, right? Because it's written as a serial.
I mean, that's not the point. I guess for, I mean, again, Wildbow takes a different tact of web serials than, like, I do, even though I'm only writing fan fiction. In that, like, I prefer to polish things, and I won't put anything up that isn't, like, highly polished. And when I say highly polished, I need everything to go through at least 3 to 4 edit passes. That many. Like, maybe even 5. I do, like, 5 or 6 passes.
And I know you won't even release a chapter unless you're happy with it, right?
Pretty much.
You're willing to delay things by however long you need to delay it.
Because ultimately, I have to sit with the thing that I wrote. And it just... You can see why I'm a dentist. If it's not great, if I don't think it's great, then I'm not going to release it. Like, I need things that I put out, like, things that have my name on it to be a certain way. Like, I need things to be a certain way. Otherwise, I would much rather just give up my career and burn everything to the ground. It's not worth it anymore. Like, for me, the final product is very much what makes the endeavor worth it.
Yeah.
And so putting things out, like, if I put my work out like Wildbow did with Worm without editing at all, then yeah, my work would probably be like this too. But I would not. I would stop writing.
Mm-hmm.
I would just give everything up.
Yeah, because that's just not the way you write.
I don't like it. It's just, I guess I guess this whole arc actually just kind of comes across to me now as being a little bit pointless. What was the reason for this arc?
Right.
No, I'm asking you, what would you say is the reason for this arc?
So let's think back, right?
Is it just like a self-indulgent like horror stuff?
I don't think it's quite just that, but it's just to kind of flesh out the world even more, right? To show that this is a world where this roving band of serial killers, led by Jack Slash, has been able to survive and to cause chaos for a long time. And that's partially because he keeps doing these things where he does hit and run tactics and he like escapes and he's wily, right? I think what a lot of people like about the depiction of the Slaughterhouse Nine is they might be like almost cartoonishly villainous in a sense, but their motivations are like there's some logic to it. You know what I mean? Like Jack honestly just wants to see the monstrousness in people.
So this arc is the main point of this arc is world building.
I think almost, yeah.
Ugh.
But like also on top of that, it's a setup for the future where Jack Slash escapes and he's going to end the world, right?
I guess.
Right. And on top of that, it kind of does if you remember, it definitely changes the dynamic between Taylor and Gru. So like Gru has gone through a lot as part of this arc.
That's true.
Right.
But it's just
it also pushed Amy and Victoria into this situation.
Okay, sure, but it's actually like the details get lost.
Right.
There's too many details.
Mm-hmm. And yeah, so it's like there's all of these subplots that are going on.
There's too many subplots going on at once. I can't keep track of them all.
Mm-hmm.
Like, if you were to just focus on one thing at a time rather than just like sprinkling in bits here and there, I'd be able to grasp this a lot better.
Yeah.
But what this arc kind of became for me was waiting for it to be finally fucking over, and then when it's over and the smoke clears, like nothing happened ultimately. At least that's how I feel about it.
Right. It feels like a disappointment. Because...
It feels like as far as advancement of any of the characters or the plot goes, it was incremental. It's like all of this time and energy was expended for like just like a millimeter's worth of traction. It just doesn't feel worth it for me.
You know, if I were to look at Worm as a whole and look at what happened in the Slaughterhouse 9 arc, it almost feels like this is a metaphor for, I guess, Taylor treading water. Like, feeling like she's not making progress, not that she's not helping anybody, that she's not saving anybody, when in fact, she's trying her damned hardest to save people, right? She protected her territory from Mannequin. She saved, basically, I don't know, a third of Brockton Bay by warning them of Shatterbird's attack. She actually did a lot to help people against the Slaughterhouse 9, and yet, to her, it all feels pointless because Jack Slash got away and the world's gonna end, right? Oh, hi. So the tower is listening in and says that this arc is good just to introduce the 9. I think so, but it also does a lot of other things. Tower also liked Legends interlude, and Sierra's was cool too. Yeah, I like all of the interludes, but going back to Panda's point, they like if we're going to talk about the entire overarching story of Worm, a lot of the interludes could be cut down or could be summarized in other ways, right?
That's kind of how I feel.
Yeah. Like what I look at the interlude as, the interludes as, is they're kind of very creative writing exercises, where Wildbow gets to portray the world from someone else's perspective, and that's cool. But it's not, polished. It's not heavily edited.
It just feels like with everything together, the story becomes incoherent to me.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I feel like it's not a coherent story because you're not following, because you're jumping around between protagonists, it kind of messes with the coherency of the story and the ease of following, the ease of following it. Like when everything follows like Taylor, it's actually really easy to follow the story because you're being shown everything through Taylor's eyes and you kind of get like a few perspectives. Like and there are like cool world building moments, but it just feels disconnected to me. Like a lot of it feels disconnected. I mean, like I guess if you want to think about world building, it's just, oh boo-hoo, this is a grim dark world where grim dark shit happens, kinda.
You're not the only person to say this.
And it's
after
kind of
having read
and
Worm.
to tell you the truth, it's fucking annoying. Can I say that? I'm a depressed person. Why do I have such a good sense of humor? Because that's how I keep myself alive. Like I that's my coping mechanism, humor. And like I can't really look on the bright side of things, so my brain kind of like tries to like it's that technique, right? Like you knit stories together, you knit things together in your head so that like you can try to make sense out of something that's senseless. And I don't know. Worm kind of doing the opposite really just kind of rubs me the wrong way. I think it's interesting that you said that I'm not the first person who's pointed it out, and it's just kind of I don't know. Listen, I read Dazai Osamu and I'm still not really much into the whole let's be depressing for depressing's sake. I mean, I guess everyone deals with depression in different ways, but at the same time, I'm just I don't know. I don't know what to say here. I'm just this whole thing was very long. It was kind of bloated. It wasn't really edited because that's not the point. The point is to just put out serialized stuff, even if like I don't know, it just kind of adds to my sense that like, wow, what I'm doing personally trying to like edit and spending time on things is fucking pointless. I should just put out complete unedited stuff and not give a shit about what I'm writing. If I actually want to get anywhere in life, I should just stop caring about the quality of anything that I do. And somehow that makes me feel horrible.
Honestly, I tell you that you don't have to edit so much. You don't have to polish so much, especially if it's for a thing you're doing for fun, right?
I know, but the thing is, like, I don't know if you haven't actually seen me work on any paintings before, but I like taking my time with things to make them good. If I didn't really care about the quality of, like, our dinner, for instance, you know, like, think about the kind of quality of life you and I would have if I didn't care about that, right? I know I put a lot of effort into things, but it's just, I don't know. It's just, I'm just so disappointed. I don't know how to articulate how disappointed I am with all of this. Clearly, my brain doesn't work the same way as the vast majority of Young Doof media, and maybe I shouldn't be here anymore, you know?
Okay. Like, I will reiterate that a lot of people read Worm and find it to be a little too grimdark and quite depressing, especially...
Does anything good happen in this world?
Oh, yeah. Of course it
No,
does.
I mean, name one.
Name one.
Yeah.
Well,
Danny's dead, right? Taylor's mom's dead.
Taylor's mom is dead.
Okay, maybe we don't know Danny's dead, but he might as...
We don't know if Danny's dead. And since next episode is going to be full spoilers for you anyway, no, Danny's not dead here.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, Danny's still alive.
Okay.
Yeah.
Silver lining, I guess.
And like, that's the thing. I think a lot of Wildbow's works kind of cover this theme of building and moving on despite bad shit happening, right? So the world doesn't have a lot of good shit happening in it, but the people in that world continue to move on and build and do good things.
Do they?
They do. What's Taylor's goal right now, right? She wants to save Dina.
You know, it's just, how do I put it? The way that this is portrayed is misguided.
What do you mean by that?
It's portrayed as misguided. Anytime Taylor like talks about like, we gotta save Dina because of her own sense of justice, like the people around her poo-poo her.
Right.
They all tell her that it's misguided. Everybody tells, like, Taylor's like, no, I want to do the right thing, and everyone tells her she's being an idiot. I'm sorry, that's kind of depressing.
I see.
You know? It's almost like, I see what you're saying, that's the theme of, like, building and moving despite everything, but, you know, we've been, like, live reading this for a couple years now, and so far it's just kind of been a very, very slow tumble down a very, like, shallow, thorn-covered mountain, it feels like, you know? As far as, like, where the characters are going.
Right.
Like,
It's
I was
a-
interested because I thought Taylor, I thought like, oh, this is interesting. A girl who wanted to be a hero ends up becoming a villain. How does that go? But it's taking so long. I know it. I know
It's
Rome wasn't.
sprawling, right?
I know Rome wasn't built in a day, but this is taking far too long.
Mm-hmm.
And it is interesting to me that like Wildbow actually in the original drafts, I guess, was never intending to finish Taylor's story, that she was supposed to die.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just kind of like I'm actually, I don't know if he's disappointed by this or if other people are disappointed by this, by the fact that Taylor lived, but I feel like that ultimately it's a good thing for the story that she lived, because it's grimdark enough. Like, if Taylor had been killed off during the Leviathan arc, it's just, that's like, whoa there. That's too much.
Right.
That's a little too much.
Right.
Like, we spend all of our time and energy being invested in a hero who dies, like, midway through the series, and then, like, oh, no, but I still need you to pay attention to the world. That is, like, a very difficult ask you're making of the readers.
Mm-hmm.
Harry Potter didn't die in book 3. Just to put it that way. So, I think, narratively, I know it was an accident, but Taylor, I think, needed to survive in order to tell the kind of story that you're saying that this is.
Mm-hmm.
Because if she doesn't, like, again, picture Harry Potter where Harry dies in book 3.
Right. Like, you could tell a story about,
This is kind of one of the complaints that people levy at the Game of Thrones guy.
right.
Yeah. That it just gets really hard to follow things when, like, people or characters
When they
that
get
you get
invested in a character and then they die. Right?
Yeah, and the character doesn't even go out with a real bang. Like, this is something that I feel like anime does really well, that like Japanese animation stories tend to do really well, at least the ones that make it to air, right?
Yeah.
The really popular ones. Usually if a character dies, they go out spectacularly.
Right.
So, even if I'm just going to use Orosaku from BSD as an example, he dies, like, in the backstory, in the light novel. He's never alive in the course of the actual main story, but his presence is just there in the story because he was such a good influence on one of the other central characters. Like,
Right.
I see people doing that. Like, Shirakumo was like this in Vigilantes too. So
Mm-hmm.
it just, I'm not seeing this kind of I don't see this sort of a dynamic here, for like certain types of stories. This is why I never got into Game of Thrones, why I never even bothered with it, because it was just kind of like, well, why read this story and why get invested in any of the characters if there will be no payoff? If you know there's no payoff. That's reality. That's real life. That's kind of how real life works.
And in fact, okay, so maybe it's also a matter of preference. But
Yeah,
a
this
lot
is
of people
definitely-
do look at Game of Thrones and they do look at Worm and they say, what I like about it is that it's realistic.
Clearly, you people have never suffered. I'm going to say anybody who says that has not had to deal with this.
And
I think the chances are very low that they've had to deal
right.
with this.
So it's very much a matter of preference because
And not just preference, life experience. If you live a life like me, where, like, again, I've been diagnosed with CPTSD because, do I have any friends from kindergarten? No. Do I have any friends from elementary school? Nope. Middle school? Nope. High school? Ooh, 2 people maybe. I don't have connections with people. And if you spend a lot of time and energy, if you're the kind of person like me who you've had a life where you've moved around a lot as a kid, you spent a lot of time investing like time and energy and emotion into like real life people for them to literally disappear off the face of the earth a little later, not necessarily die, but to just go away forever with no explanation. And some people going like, oh, well, it's realistic. That's life. I guess that's how they deal with it. But for some people, I think for the other half of the people who are like me, maybe we don't want that because that's our reality all the time. And maybe for once in our fucking lives, we would like for there to be actual payoff, because usually the norm is there is no payoff.
right. That any effort is unrewarded. That,
Pretty
like,
much. Like, I kind of feel this way about my job too sometimes.
Yeah.
And
like, here's the thing. And this is probably, once again, still a matter of preference because I do feel like Worm has payoffs, but they take so much longer to pay off.
they take a little too long for me.
Exactly. Right.
And
that's why I say it's a matter of preference.
yeah, so I think whatever brilliance Worm has, it's just going to be lost on me.
And that's why I'm giving you the full spoilers.
Yeah, which I was hoping for the last 2 years.
So I'll give you the full spoilers, and we can just talk about what is good about Worm and about the payoffs that do happen. And you won't have to, I guess, sift through all of the subplots and like the tiny
Little details, hoping to find something that actually doesn't come up for like a year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it's been getting hard for you to keep like little subplots in your head too, right?
Yeah, I have a really intensive day job. I have to take classes in the evening to keep my job. I don't actually have a lot of time.
Yeah.
Like, I really don't. I have to commute to work.
Mm-hmm.
And I leave work late every day.
It's a long sprawling work, and
There's a reason why I watch like 10-minute videos on YouTube to like get my breaks. You know, I don't really get breaks even at work, right? Like, it's hard for me to even go downstairs for a cup of water.
mm-hmm.
I don't think I take bathroom breaks that much either. And that's just kind of the reality for a lot of people who work in my field too. Time is extremely precious.
Mm-hmm. All right. Well, you will get the full spoilers next time, and then our future episodes. I'm not sure exactly how we're gonna do them, but
we'll figure it out. Like
we'll
I
figure
said,
it
if
out,
there's
yeah.
anything I'm interested in reading, then like again,
we can zoom in on the stuff that is interesting.
Yeah, again,
right?
I keep saying this. The thing I'm actually the most interested in is really like what goes down with like Amy and Victoria.
Victoria.
Yeah, it's a really compelling story.
You know what? Do you want me to just give you the summary? Because there's really not that much left in Amy and Victoria's story.
At least for here, right?
Yeah, for here.
Yeah.
I was incorrect. Amy, the kind of like Amy Victoria epilogue does not happen here. It happens at the end of the next arc, where we get an interlude from Carol's perspective.
Who's Carol?
Carol is Victoria's mother, Victoria and Amy's mother.
The real mom, right? Or sorry, Victoria's mom,
real mom,
but not Amy's.
Yeah, Amy's adoptive mom.
Got it.
Right. We get a chapter from her perspective where she witnesses the final result of what happened. And what happened...
You mean the flesh sarcophagus?
Yeah. So Amy spent the rest of the evening trying to fix Victoria.
Trying to turn her back.
Trying to turn her back and make sure everything's right. And like she got tired, she got stressed, she got into a really bad mental space. She alludes to this, but while she was desperately trying to fix Victoria, she would take breaks and ended up, I guess, physically assaulting Victoria. It's implied.
What do you mean? Like slapping her, punching her?
No, like caressing her, holding her. It implied that other things were done too, and like all of it was coerced. Because her plan was to just wipe Victoria's memory afterwards.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Ooh. Whoa, that is like a soul roofie.
That's implied anyway.
Okay, but no, look, listen, you got it from Word of God, I assume. So.
It's from Word of God.
So yeah, that's fine. But
it's implied. And by the time morning came around, Victoria is just this mess of heads and arms and legs.
Multiple heads.
Multiple heads, multiple arms, multiple legs. Just Amy would try to fix her and it wouldn't work, so she'd try again somewhere else. And by the time she was done, Victoria is just this blob. Just this giant flesh blob. And Amy says, I can't fix her anymore. I'm turning myself in.
You know, I was about to say, like, oh man, I feel like this is a very apt metaphor because, like, I'm a GP. I'm a general practitioner.
Yeah.
If I screw something up, it is my obligation to inform the patient that I have screwed up and turn them over to the correct specialist who can fix it. Now, again, a responsible GP, I can't say anything about, like, my actual work, but that is what you're supposed to do. And usually a responsible GP at some point will figure out their limits and just not even take those cases that could run the risk of getting messed up, right? But I mean, this just feels like a very, very apt metaphor from where I'm sitting. I guess I feel like this is maybe my best contribution to, I guess, the Wormiverse, in that, like, I know
you can provide
Wildbow,
kind of the medical.
Yeah, I know, like, Wildbow has a lot
of
medical people in his family, but they're not here and commenting, and I am.
And it's like Amy's story can be read from a medical perspective, but also it just sucks because it's also wrapped into this whole like incest, like ciscon, like basically assault.
Basically means sister complex.
Yeah, sexual assault like story. that
yeah,
gets involved too.
it's a story of an abuser.
Right. So
And that is actually the cold hard reality
yeah.
for abusers. Like oftentimes, like again, my parents are kind of emotionally like my shrink is like, "Are you sure your parents aren't emotionally abusive?" And I'm trying to exonerate them, but that's a little personal. But you know, like the whole, I feel like well written abusers in fiction do mirror their real life counterparts in that like it's a cycle of abuse, right? They're not mean all the time. They're very kind. And of course the victim of abuse got roped in somehow. And how do you rope someone in? You don't rope someone in by punching them.
Right.
You know, you do so by being kind and like oftentimes being actually loving. And I do think that a lot of actual abusers do feel genuine affection for their victims, but they don't know how to like act appropriately. And the real problem comes when you refuse to like seek help and like get yourself fixed, you know, that kind of thing.
Yeah, for sure.
So yeah, like that's why this like Amy and Victoria's is so like fascinating because it's multifaceted. You can read it from many views.
So yeah, like basically the end of the arc is Amy trying to put herself into prison, everyone begging her, "No, you have to go fix Victoria," and Amy saying, "No, I refuse to touch her again. I'm not doing anything."
I mean, I know that feeling, but not like this. Like I don't know this feeling at work. I mean, this is me like when I make like a drawing or a painting, and every time I draw and like I edit like a single line, the line gets worse, and I'm just like, you know what? I'm done.
Right.
But that's a drawing. This is like, oh yeah, this is actually kind of like that, isn't it? It's like a physical work that you're manipulating.
Exactly. A sculpture, essentially. Yeah. And
Amy,
I know it's a little morbid.
No, but this is funny. Amy, you're such a fucking drama queen. Like this is the equivalent of like, you know she needs. I know she needs a break. You know what she needs? She needs a nap. She just needs a nap. You know, like the equivalent.
Sure. Maybe not.
Okay, when I say the equivalent of a nap, she is past the point of burnout. She needs to step away for a little bit, and they're all saying, "No, you need to fix her." I actually think her putting herself in prison. I don't know if prison is the right move because then you're sinking in and wallowing in that sense of self-pity and like lack of self-worth and just you're basically saying like, I give up, I can't fix it, let me go mope in the corner. And
that's very apt actually, because that's exactly what she's
doing. Yeah. You know, Amy, like I liked you, girl, I liked you, I kind of related to you, but you know what, like I don't know, I mean, I mope in the corner too, but like
you pick yourself back up.
I get knocked down, but I get up again. Anyway, but like, I mean, just how do I put it? Girl, I have so many mental health problems, but it's just, I like how you're looking at me. You look very like...
Well, this is why I want to share a worm with you, right? These
kinds of discussions are fun. I mean, as long as I'd rather you know, get these kinds of discussions in than like kind of slog through details, hoping for a little bit of shipping to just get me through the chapter, just a quick hit. Come on, but you know, like this is better.
Yeah.
Like, you know, it's like you're eating the chocolate chip cookie and you're looking for the chocolate chips and the chips are way too small.
Yeah.
You know,
I mean, get this. So Amy insists that she goes to prison. And when everyone tells her, no, you don't deserve to go to prison.
You don't deserve to go to prison. Whoa, that's not the right thing to say to her.
Yeah, exactly. It's just like, that's too extreme, right?
You don't deserve prison. What are they saying that she deserves? Do they want her to like feed an arm to a shark?
No, well, I mean, I don't remember the exact phrasing. They were just saying, no, like, prison's too extreme. You don't have to go to prison for this, right? When they told her that, she threatened to unleash a plague if they didn't put her in prison.
Let me go mope. I just want to mope.
Right.
Anyway, what the hell?
So, yeah. Victoria ends up basically not being able to get fixed because...
That was the flesh blob?
Yeah, so she's a flesh blob now.
What did you guys call her? The Thing? I think that's the B movie. The Thing.
Not The Thing. I think the common nickname for her was Victoria.
Victoria?
Yeah, that was the fanon name for her at the time.
Wow, that is very cruel. I love it.
Yeah, so...
Wow. Icky Vicky?
Icky Vicky. So Victoria...
Bonus points if you got the reference.
Victoria, it can't be fixed and has to live the rest of her life with, like, multiple, like, heads and limbs and stuff, as a flesh blob. and Amy gets sent to the
The
birdcage.
human Hydra.
Yeah, Amy gets sent to the birdcage.
Dear old dad, remember when?
All right, and that's the end of their story. The tower says, I do like to hear Panda's thoughts on this. It's interesting to learn someone else's POV on the type of stories like Worm. And I agree. This is why this is really fascinating, because I don't think I've actually read any other live reads where people like just had a lot to say from your perspective.
I have a lot to say about everything all the time. Have you learned nothing in 5 years of marriage?
And that's why you're so entertaining.
I am not here for your entertainment. Like, okay, I am. I like entertaining you.
Yeah.
What's
So I'm really looking forward to this, because I think we basically just get to skip to the things that I find interesting. And if anyone listening also has stuff that they find interesting, we can zoom in on that stuff too.
I think that'd be fun.
Yeah. Because
Oh, what the hell?
the point is to promote, I guess, to share something I really love with you, and to be able to have interesting discussions about it.
On the one hand, I get where Amy's coming from. On the other hand, I'm just kind of like teenagers, man. Drama queens.
Yeah, it's so easy to forget that they're just teenagers, but
Teenagers, man.
she's a teenager. Jesus.
Whose bright idea was it to give the teenagers superpowers?
We'll talk about that
Oh yeah,
next part.
the aliens. The aliens.
Spoilers! Geez, spoilers!
Listen, if you're listening to this thing, you're already spoiled,
Yep.
and you know it.
And next time, you'll get all of the spoilers.
Fucking finally!
All right. I think that will be it for today. But thanks for tuning in, everyone.
All right. Wow, that took a while.
It took a while. Oh, Vale's here.
It took a while. I feel like I should go to
Vale
bed
says, my
soon.
insomnia didn't wake me up in time to catch you live. How was the read tonight? Is this right at the end of the read? Yep, we just finished 14.12, which is the last proper chapter of the arc. We're going to skip the interludes, and next time, we are going to spoil all of Worm.
Woo! Finally!
Um,
This is all I ever wanted, man!
mhm.
Just give me the point! Look, I'm one of those assholes who, like, skipped lecture and then just, like, went off of the PowerPoints later because I couldn't be bothered. You need to
Uh-huh.
boil things down for me.
Yeah.
I'm
Well,
not paying attention if it's not boiled down.
oh man, do I have to make a slideshow for this?
No, just...
Just okay.
Look,
So
let's-
there's this really nice Worm chapter synopsis that I use all the time to reference events in Worm. I'm
Okay.
just gonna look at that. Okay.
Okay, yeah,
All
sure.
right.
All right, and yeah, again, if anybody who is like interested in hearing what stupid thoughts lurk in my brain, submit something
Yeah, and tune in next time
if you want.
if you want. All right. Well, that will be it for tonight. Thanks for tuning in. We finally finished the arc.
Finally.